Alright, today come along with me. We're gonna walk around my city and hit all the Chinese sportswear brand stores. I will show you around each shop and share my personal take on every brand. I've watched them grow and evolve ever since I was in elementary school, so I will talk about their past and present. There will be some interesting observations and maybe a few blunt, honest opinions. If you are ready, hop in and let's go. The city I currently live in is called Nanjing. It's probably not a city you are super familiar with, not a household name like Beijing or Shanghai. If we compare economic strength, it's roughly equivalent to Munich in Germany, Melbourne in Australia, or Philadelphia in the US. Some people also say it's like Washington, D.C. because we've also got a White House here. The most distinctive thing about the city is how green it is. Super high greenery coverage. Sometimes I see people in the comments saying, "Hui probably runs in the park a lot." Honestly, a lot of the time I'm just running on the streets. But the greenery is so dense, it makes it look like a park. For this trip, I hit a few commercial areas in the city. We're gonna go by numerical and alphabetical. First stop, 361 degrees. Back around 2002, Nike launched its 360 degrees line, also known as NSW, Nike Sportswear. Their slogan back then was 360 degrees of sport and life. The 361 degrees we know today didn't always have this name. They rebranded to 361 degrees in 2003 with the slogan, "One more degree of passion." You can draw your own guesses about where the inspiration came from. First thing that catches the eye is the Q Bounce. It's their newly launched dual mode, dual density midsole model, similar to Brooks Glycerin Max. It looks decent, but you can tell it's a bit heavy in hand. That's just the nature of this kind of dual mode, dual density midsole foam. I talk about this in my Li-Ning Qiaodan Pro video. Feel free to check it out if you are curious. Then you got all kinds of flashy, colorful Flame series shoes. Some Flame 5 up top, Flame 4.5 below. I didn't drop a review for Flame 5. Not so different from last year's 4.5 or 4. As you guys know, my channel is self-funded. I have to skip these small, tiny updates and focus my budget on all new models or stuff with major updates. Same reason I didn't make videos on the Li-Ning Feidian 6 Challenger, etc. Over on the left is the BioSpeed series. These are track focused. I've got last year's BioSpeed 4 Pro. The also on this series is optimized for the track. Little spike-like lugs. You don't see this on my channel much, because finding a track near where I live is a pain. Running in this just on the road doesn't give an accurate read on performance. Further left, some basketball shoes. I've actually seen a few new trail shoes in person at this store. I don't even know the official name. These are offline releases, not sold on platforms like Taobao. It's kind of beautiful hiking. Uses a Michelin rubber also. Another, no clue either. Looks like a hybrid door-to-trail shoe, similar to the Hoka Challenger series. I was really interested, but the store's biggest size was 44. This is pretty common. Chinese brand physical stores rarely stock anything above a size 44. Chinese people have smaller feet. Most of my buddies who are tall like me usually wear a size 43. Me with size 45? In Chinese eyes, I'm basically Shrek from Shrek. What I personally don't love about 361 degrees is how often they do 0.5 iterations. Just recently, they launched the Furious Future 2.5 with an updated upper, and this happens way too often. That makes me, at least if I were not a shoe reviewer, and just a regular consumer not really want to buy the integer generations. I think you guys always release a 0.5 version anyway, so why wouldn't I just wait for the better version? Also, the Mirror SL. You know, that tongue. What I'm genuinely curious about is, they've been making shoes for decades. Isn't there a shared database for designers and product managers to reference? They should already know which design flaws to avoid, which fabric don't work. It's baffling to me. I just can't accept having to trim a tongue after buying a new shoe. As a consumer, that's not my job. Moving on to Anta. As you guys know, Anta has been making a lot of moves lately. Like the largest shareholder of Puma, and took majority control of Amer Sports, the parent company of Arc'teryx and Salomon. This store is pretty big, divided into sections by category. Let's head straight to the running shoe section. First up, the C10 Pro 2. This one's been requested a few times in the comments. People asking if I can review it. I've shut them all down, no mercy. The C10 series, both first and second gen, has a very clear message printed right on the upper. Designed for mid-foot or forefoot strikers, marathon racing shoe for professional athletes. Professional. Not for us average runners. Not even for the efficient runners among us. Every brand wants maximize sales. So printing a disclaimer this strict is basically limiting their own market. For a lot of us average runners, it's a clear warning. This isn't for you. On the lateral side of the forefoot, there is a piece of 3D printed material called lattice. It's firmer than any foam compound. If you watched my last video, you know that a lot of efficient or elite runners have natural pronation. They land on the far outer edge of the midsole. The purpose of that 3D printed piece is to limit foam compression when they land like that, so they can roll through more quickly and push off faster. Average runner lacks the strength of pros. A lot of times, foams that pros describe as nice feel like bricks to us. Now add an even firmer piece on that, you can imagine the ride. And you can imagine how harsh it would feel over a long distance, how far you'd actually want to run in them. On Anta's Taobao page, they wrote, suitable for athletes who can finish a marathon in under 2.5 hours. Notice their word choice. For the C2027 and the G9 Gen 2, they wrote runners. Here they wrote athletes. I've heard Anta will release a takedown version of this shoe, maybe called C10 Balance. Once the barrier to entry is lowered to something within my range, I'm happy to spend the money and tell you guys the real deal. Alright, moving on. Next is the G9 Gen 2 in a new colorway. This color is thick, and this colorway also comes with a different upper. The upper I complained about in my G9 video. They swapped it out for this one. Some C2027 in new colorways. Anta has quietly tweaked the midsole foam formula on these new releases. I saw comments on my C2027 video. Some runners feeling the foam deadened after around 200 kilometers. I checked with fellow runners who bought the new colorways, and they confirmed the midsole now has a bit firmer, a bit more resilient ride. Tooling foam to be firmer always extends lifespan, no matter the brand. Next to that is the Zone 290, Zone 285, and Zone 280. I picked up the Mark 6 Pro right next. The Mark Pro has always been outstanding. I've been running them since the 4th gen, so stay tuned for my full review. Especially if you are a long-time Hoka Mark fan, you won't want to miss it. Next to the Pro version is the standard version, marketed heavily toward Chinese elementary and mid-school students for their PE exams. The 800 meters, the 1000 meters test. It's track focused. I'm not a fan of this. I spotted a new trail running shoe, uses a Vibram outsole, but the moment I pick it up, I wanted to put it right back down. Same old story, overly heavy, kinda disappointed. And these trail shoes, notice something? The logo. isn't the usual Anta logo. It's a letter A. This is a premium subline of Anta called Anta GUANJUN, which translates to Anta Champion. This line actually has its own standalone stores. I found one at another mall. The line focuses on outdoor and trail gear, priced in the same range as international brands, with almost no discounts. Some of their designs look really good. This series is also what the Chinese national team wears during major events, so a lot of the apparel has the Chinese flag on it. The fabrics also feel more premium. Back in the first store, on another wall, there were a few shoes that stood out. The prototype of this shoe is from the Guanjun line, called Chenfeng, meaning riding the wind. This is the max cushion shoe. The one I'm holding here is a version with a different upper. You can see ATSV on the back, and that brings us to yet another Anta subline, Anta Sneakerverse. These stores are typically only found in premium shopping malls, with a fully modern, youth-focused layout targeting trendsetters and sneaker collectors. It leans into avant-garde design and art clubs, all stylish pieces. Just take a look around with me. Before heading to Douyin, I passed the shop, wondering if any of you are into mechanical keyboards? That's the aluminum factory, cause they are famous for their aluminum cases. This store basically had their whole lineup on display. Too bad it was so packed and noisy in there, I couldn't really hear the click sound. My personal favorite is the creamy sound. What about you guys? Drop me a comment. I also passed by a Huawei store. Right now in China, a lot of Huawei stores also showcase the cars that use their tech. This one is a new model, priced around 240,000 RMB, roughly 35,000 US dollars. It packs 350 horsepower and a 450-mile range. The interior is pretty nice, with a built-in fridge in the center console. Of the cars I've driven so far that use Huawei autonomous driving system, the experience in China has been a bit better than Tesla FSD, but overseas it might flip, since it really comes down to where the training data comes from. They also have their new GT Runner 2 watch on display. That's what I'm currently using. GPS and heart rate tracking are almost as accurate as my Garmin 955. Battery life is just okay, needs a charge about every 9 days, but it's half the price of my Garmin. So far, so good. Alright, next up, Douyin. This store isn't a Douyin exclusive brand store, it's a multi-brand sporting goods store. Honestly, I don't think I've ever actually seen a Douyin exclusive store in real life. Douyin is a niche brand in China, a specialized segment brand. Their main customers are students athletes at sports schools. I've talked about this in my Speedster video. Go check it out if you are curious. Their whole thing has always been affordable training gear for these student athletes. Like this entire wall of shoes here. Fencing shoe, triple jump shoe, shot put, javelin, wrestling, weightlifting, etc. That's the DNA of Douyin. That's the foundation they built and grew on. Frankly, if it weren't for you guys, I probably wouldn't have actively thought about buying Douyin shoes. And I wouldn't know how far they've come. As someone who runs daily on Chinese streets, the two Douyin models I see most on random people's feet are this low-profile retro-style shoes with EVA missile, super common. The second common one is this, loved by older, retired people, probably brings back memories of their service days. On the track, I see Blade and Warrior series. Whenever I spot someone in Douyin at the track, two thoughts popped in my head. This man is definitely fast. Huh, why does the Doing logo make every shoe look so firm? I really think that. The reason pretty much makes sense. The PB series, the mainstream, higher stack road running shoes you guys are more familiar with, Doing only started those in the last 3 years. For the 20 plus years before that, Doing basically was low stack shoes. That's what they were known for in China. You might have spotted the Critical Max and Hurricane Max on camera. These are the same shoe with different uppers. The Critical Max is slightly heavier because of the upper material. About the Hurricane Max, ran it, even wrote the script, but in the end, I didn't make the video. I think Doing in 2026 might be feeling the pressure. Their lower price advantage is fading against the bigger Chinese brands with more scale. Back in the day, Doing kept the prices low by not building out retail channels. Because building channels means leaving enough margin for several layers of distributors. Back then, that business model worked fine, because the competitors were also weak and just getting started themselves. Not anymore. Every bigger Chinese brand has massive retail networks. Meanwhile, those brands have started making the specialized event shoes that Doing used to own, taking bites out Doing's market share. Student athletes used to have no choices. Now, they are spoiled for options. With shoes like the Hurricane Max, and you guys know exactly which other shoe this one copying. And with another Doing trail shoe, I'm starting to see some bad signs. Personally, I really don't want to see any Chinese brands lose its originality. Anyway, I just hope Doing gets better. At least before all this, their shoes had their own identity. ERKE stores aren't easy to find in the commercial districts of the city I live. Their pricing is a bit lower, so they probably appeal more to consumers in China's 3rd and 4th tier cities. I had to come back another day to film. This store had a pretty decent selection. I saw the Jingchen 3 in person for the first time. This shoe is going to head-to-head with the Adidas Evo SL. And honestly, out of all the Chinese brand Evo SL competitors, this might be the closest one. The midsole foam looks really nice, but too bad. The staff checked their system, and they don't make a size 45. Seriously regret that. I was really interested in this one. Other models, K303, K101. They have too many similar models, just hard to keep track of positioning. They all look pretty much the same. The K303 looks really similar to the Juechen 5. The Jifeng 4 looks almost like the K101. Can you guys tell them apart? As a consumer, once I run into this kind of serious product overlap, once I feel my own understanding getting muddy, I just noob out entirely. Because I don't know which one to buy. From a business standpoint, this strategy works in the short term. You flood every sub-segment, leave no gaps for competitors, grab as much traffic and consumer as you can. But the hidden costs can't be ignored. I don't know how ERKE balances inventory, margins, and supply chain marginal costs. But that's not really my problem to worry about. ERKE probably wants to tell me, mind your business as We are at the Fuga store, Kailas Fuga. Kailas is the name after Mount Kailash. Fuga is their trail running line. The vibe and design of this store are really nice. Right now, it looks like they are pushing the EX330 model. The 330 comes from the famous ultra trail race, so this shoe is built for long, ultra distance trail runs, focuses on consistent cushioning. It looks great, bold colorway too. Timing is everything. Kailas used to be just another discount outdoor brand in China. But lately, with outdoor culture blowing up and the grobcore style trending among the young people, Kailas has ridden the wave. I used to sleep on them, now I can't afford them. That's basically the arc of their history from the perspective of someone who's seen their ups and downs. The shoes you are seeing here, the cheapest one is around $200 US. Their jacket is around $350. Hydration vest about $180. I've got my eye on one pair. If enough of you guys are interested, I'll go buy them. Okay, that's a wrap for today. I planned to hit all Chinese brand stores in one video, but we are already long after just the 5. Next video, we'll finish the rest, with more hot takes of course. If you want to know the Chinese name of any shoe in this video, or if any shoe caught your eye, just drop a comment with the timestamp. I will reply to every single one. See you guys in the next one.